Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program on our Facebook page live through Radyo Pilipinas World Service and also on our delayed broadcast on our YouTube channel. And also you can hear this program live on our audio streaming through PBS Evox receiver app and also on our shortwave broadcast through these shortwave frequencies. That's 15.640 megahertz, 17.750 megahertz, and 21.720 megahertz can be heard from 200 to 3:30 hours UTC. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Let's begin Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Yesterday, April 29th, the House Committee on Justice found probable cause to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte in its final clarificatory hearing on April 29th. And the House panel voted unanimously that probable cause exists to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte, and they garnered 53 unanimous votes. And the panel chairperson, which is the House Committee on Justice, led by Representative Jervil Luistro of Batangas, emphasized that the final hearing moved beyond financial discrepancies and focused heavily on character. Meanwhile, ahead of that particular hearing, the Vice President's husband, Attorney Manasseh Carpio, filed a complaint against several House panel members and financial officials. Attorney Carpio alleged violations of the Bank Secrecy Law and Data Privacy Act regarding the disclosure of their bank records. And the panel proceeded with the hearing regardless. And to recall, the committee spent 4 hearings evaluating evidences backing claims that the Vice President is first betrayed the public trust, second committed graft and corruption via the alleged misuse of public and confidential funds, and lastly, the culpable violation of the Constitution. And to give us more details of what transpired from yesterday's impeachment hearing, we're now joined on the line the member of the House Committee on Justice and representative of Tingog Party List, none other than Representative Jude Asidre. Good morning, Representative Asidre. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you to all those for the invitation to be here with you this morning.
All right. Good morning and thank you. And first, Congressman Asidre, I see that you supported the proposal of your fellow lawmaker, Representative Laila de Lima of Mamamayang Liberal Party List, to open the documents and let the evidence speak itself. So I want to ask this question, Representative Asidre. Would the opening the documents, which has private and sensitive data information, I'm talking about the tax records, which was sealed by BIR Commissioner Charlito Mendoza. So is it allowed?
Well, if you ask me, no, there are very strong arguments in favor of opening the said documents. You have to understand that in the course of the impeachment proceedings, the source law, or the one that really guides the actions of the House, would have been the Constitution, which is, of course, the highest law in the land. And therefore, all other subsequent statutes would have to be deferent to the provisions of the Constitution. I believe that in the end, paramount the interest of the public to know to know the truth about these documents, so that they can, especially the the members of the Justice Committee can verify for themselves, validate for themselves, and compare documents as with the other with compare is in the paramount interest of the Filipino people. So there are there are strong legal arguments in favor of opening the said box.
Okay, so that's the public interest that dominates in that particular impeachment hearing, and that's the second step before it heads to the what we call plenary session debates.
Well, we expect the committee to convene once more, one last time, for the approval of the committee report. I believe that's going to happen on Monday. And then, if we follow the ordinary course of action of the House, we will have to transmit the committee report for action by the Committee on Rules for its inclusion in the agenda of the plenary. So we're expecting that in probably a week or so, the committee report as well as its recommendations will be presented and discussed at the plenary.
So that's a week or so, beginning May 4th. Is that correct, Congressman?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so also in your manifestation yesterday, Congressman, you pointed that assets of a government official must be presented sufficiently and accurately, and that's in a form of a declaration, and that is the statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. And as a fellow worker in government, do you support that all public officials must strictly abide by the rules set by the Republic Act number 6713, or as we know it, the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees?
Yes, I think the issuance of the declaration of your SALN is paramount, is an important tool for accountability. I believe that all public officials, and I agree that all government officials as well as those working government should should fulfill that responsibility of declaring their assets, no, and also their liabilities, so as we can establish the net worth of a public official. This is a very basic element or tool for instilling accountability. And before I forget, today is the deadline for the submission of SALN for the for the period ending December 31, 2025.
Okay. And also, you argued that explanations and statements regarding the wealth and how it accumulated are not enough. And also, the truth lies in documents which must be opened, reviewed, and compared. So, regardless of that, how do you think the camp of Vice President presented their case at the House Committee on Justice?
Well, unfortunately, the Vice President has not, or her camp or her lawyers has not really has chosen not to present their side. No, although at several instances during the entire course of the hearing, the opportunity was afforded to the Vice President to either explain her side or even to ask questions from the resource persons. But unfortunately, the office of the Vice President decided not. I mean, the Vice President herself and her lawyers have decided not to avail of that opportunity given by the Committee for Due Process. Okay. However, I think it's important to point, Jerome, no, that the reason why we are pushing for the opening of the document is first, we've seen in the first we know how much the Vice President earns. The salary of the Vice President is a public record. Second, the net worth as well as the properties, the real properties and all other assets of the Vice President are declared in her SALN, including 9 companies, if I'm not mistaken. However, when we check the companies that were declared in her SALN, many, if not all of these companies were not actually earning. So it begs the question, where did the assets of the Vice President come from? How were they able to come up with these assets, whether in cash? And if you were to put into the equation the transactions that were covered by the AMLAC report, then it makes an even bigger question.
Okay. And also the source of fund for those incurred loss will be investigated as well, Congressman Asidre.
Yes, the source, and for me, even it would interest me to know how, for which were these transactions made, especially the withdrawals, but they seem to be a big amount, and they were done in a rather consistent or at a fixed frequency.
Okay. Got it. Okay, and also you emphasize that the issue of Vice President Sara Duterte presented in the Justice Committee are not mere doubt, but it needs to be ensured, and the truth must be verified. And if there is a solid basis, it should not be hidden and but openly presented. And as you put it, if you there's nothing to be fear. There's nothing to be fear of if you don't hide something. So, by the way, is that the projection of the House Committee on Justice?
No,
That
those are my own manifestations.
yeah,
I
okay,
believe that if nothing is to be, if nothing is to be feared, then nothing is to be hidden. No? If
yes,
you're
okay,
not afraid of anything, then there should be the willingness to open
okay.
the records. But nonetheless, we defer to the wisdom of the Justice Committee, and we understand also the caution by which the committee decided to proceed.
Mm-mm. But also, people are also commenting that the vice president is being persecuted in that House Justice Committee. What's your comment on that?
Well, I don't think so that is the case, because we've seen how many times the vice president afforded to be the opportunity that had been afforded to the vice president to explain her side,
Yeah.
and all and I could safely say that this committee, especially in the instance of these proceedings, have followed the provisions of our rules to the letter,
Mm-mm.
and that in fact, if you notice, the vice president and her legal team, especially her legal team, has been engaging the people with their side of the story, but they
Yes.
just decided not to participate
Yes.
in the process
They
that's provided by the law, the process that's provided by
mm-mm.
the Constitution.
Yeah, they've give actually on the record, Congressman Asidre, Vice President Sara Duterte has been given many chance or opportunity to speak, to answer all these allegations that is being hurled against her, but she opted not to attend those hearings, and that's something she missed, Congressman Asidre.
And I think for public servants, especially including myself, no, we look at these proceedings as simply as a matter of discretion. We all took an oath to promote and preserve the Constitution of the Philippines, of the country, and that constitutional oath imposes on us a responsibility to ensure that things like maintaining that public office is a public trust, and
Mm-mm.
also fostering, strengthening accountability in public service, or even simple recognition of the rule of law. These
Mm-mm.
are not mere things that we have discretion over. These are things that we have taken an oath, sworn an oath to uphold. And I think that is why it's quite unfortunate that the Vice President has chosen not to participate in the impeachment trial.
Okay. Also, the counsel for the vice president, Attorney Michael Powa, said and argued that the proceedings of the House Committee of Justice departed from the constitutional design, as he puts it, by turning into a full trial rather than a determination of probable cause. What's your
By the way,
response on that?
By the way, Jerome, before I forget, I just have to correct myself. It's not an impeachment proceeding in the determination of probable cause. I don't want to be misquoted in that.
Uh-huh.
But nonetheless, it's like this. Um, the proceeding from the start, we've been very, very clear that the proceeding that's happening now in the House is not a trial. It is
It's not.
merely the determination
Mm-hmm.
of probable cause that would eventually lead to its approval of the impeachment complaint in the plenary, and eventually for full trial in the Senate. Now, this procedure that we are doing now, the procedure that we followed, reflects decision of the Supreme Court, the recent decision of the Supreme Court, setting the or requiring the that we follow the that we follow the
You follow?
we give due course
Yes.
to to the vice president, to afford her the opportunity
Yes.
to respond and be informed of the charges against her. And I think these are basically the offshoot or consequent of the petition that the camp of the vice president has filed with the Supreme Court. So it actually, I actually wonder why at this point they're the ones complaining again, no, criticizing why this process is undergoing when it was their petitioned by the vice president and her camp, that eventually lead to this process.
Okay. Okay. It's clear this is the impeachment proceeding itself. It's not a trial, according
Not a
to
trial.
not a trial, but determination of all the
Probable cause.
charges that is filed against Vice President Sara Duterte. Okay, so now the whole Justice Committee unanimously vote to endorse it to a plenary session. But before that, it will be transferred for a final approval. Is that correct, Congressman Asidre?
The committee will meet to approve the committee report. After the approval of the committee report, the same would be referred to the committee on rules for their inclusion in the calendar of business of the House, of the plenary. So on the assigned date, the committee report will be presented, sponsored by the chairperson, and will be up for vote by the members of the plenary.
Okay. What is your expectation during those plenary debates, and how confident the House Committee on Justice will be able to escalate or transmit the impeachment or the case rather of Vice President Sara into a full blown trial at the Senate?
Well, I don't want to be presumptuous, no. I don't want to speak ahead of everyone else in the House, and I will give that opportunity for every member of the House to think and peruse and study all the evidences and testimonies made at the committee deliberations, as well as to also review the committee report. I can only trust my colleagues that they have seen and they've heard and they've studied what has been discussed so far, and perhaps that trust, I think, provides the confidence that in the end the will of the majority of the House will prevail.
Okay, got it. And lastly, Congressman Asidre, let's say the impeachment trial begins at the Senate right now. Would the House continue to participate in the proceedings?
Well, in the Senate, the House would effectively should the plenary of the House of Representatives approve the committee report and endorses the articles of impeachment to the Senate according to the rules of impeachment. The House the House of Representatives would constitute the prosecutors, the prosecutorial team for the impeachment trial in the Senate.
And also it will go back to the same step, which is to determine the truth behind all of those charges that is
By
being
then,
filed.
in the Senate, it will really be the final impeachment trial.
Yes.
They will look into the merits, as well,
Yes,
verify
yeah.
the evidences, and then it will be the job of the Senate now to either convict or acquit the Vice President on the impeachment charges.
I see. Okay, so the Senate will look at all the merits regarding the case of Vice President Sara Duterte, and this is a very challenging and at the same time exciting developments as we go along here in the next month or after. So it will be a very challenging times ahead in our political system. And with that, thank you so much for joining us in the program, Representative Judah Sidre, the member of the House Committee on Justice, and Tingog Party List.
Thank you, Jerome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And that was Representative Judah Sidre of Tingog Part List, and as he's one of the member of the House Committee on Justice. And in the meantime, Front and Center will be right back after these short messages.
Garantisadong solusyon at aksyon ang handog sa iyo ng bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center. Sundin lang ang mga sumusunod para makakuha ng appointment. Para sa wala pang eGov.ph app account, panoorin ang video para malaman kung paano gumawa ng account. Kung meron ng account sa eGov.ph app, mag-login dito. Saka hanapin ang online registration tab para sa bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center. Pindutin ito para makita ang available na government services. Piliin ang serbisyo na iyong kailangan mula sa listahan. I-upload ang requirements ng serbisyong kailangan mo. Pumili ng petsa at oras kung kailan nais pumunta sa bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center. I-submit na ang iyong application at bigyan ng pagkakataon na ma-review ang iyong isinumiting requirements. Hintayin ang QR code para sa kumpirmasyon ng iyong schedule. Makakatanggap ka ng text message para malaman kung naaprubahan ito. Sakaling hindi ito maaprubahan, makakatanggap ka rin ng text message para ipaalam ang kulang na requirements sa kasubukang mag-register ulit. Kung nakatanggap na ng kumpirmasyon, maaari nang pumunta sa bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center sa napiling schedule, dala ang QR code at ang mga isinumiteng requirements. Huwag kalimutang dumating sa itinakdang araw at oras ng iyong appointment. Pinapaalala rin na siguruhing may kumpirmadong schedule bago pumunta sa bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center para maiwasang magpabalik-balik. Simple at user-friendly ang pagpapa-appointment dito. Kaya wag nang mangamba dahil sa bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center, tulong ay abot kamay na.
Itinuloy na po natin ang zero balance billing. Libre po. Ibig sabihin, ang serbisyo sa basic accommodation sa ating mga DOH na ospital, wala nang babayaran ang pasyente.
Po, ang dami pong challenge, hindi po namin alam kung saan namin kukunin, ganon, nag-iisip kung paano namin mababayaran. Siyempre po, masaya, super saya po dahil na zero billing po kami. Opo, malaking ano po talaga, malaking tulong po. Mabilis lang din po.
Bayad na ang bill ninyo. Uulitin ko, wala nang kailangan bayaran ng pasyente basta sa DOH Hospital dahil bayad na po ang bill ninyo.
Naiyak ako kasi sobrang saya. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. Hindi kami nagkamali ng taong ihinalal.
And welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo. And before we go, we will have to give you a reminder that this development regarding the supposedly arrest of former lawmaker Zaldico, we must have a close watch on this one because it's basically the former lawmaker is still at large, and now as we heard, the former lawmaker sought a political asylum in France. And with that, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Pressed the ambassador of France and the chargé d'affaires of the embassy of the Czech Republic to the Philippines for clarity and stronger cooperation on the case of fugitive former lawmaker Zaldico. And as you can recall, President Marcos Jr. Announced the arrest or apprehension of the former lawmaker in the Czech Republic, but later on it was found that the former lawmaker were out of Czech Republic, and now he is seeking for a political asylum in France. So there is right now there's a closely or close coordination between France and Czech Republic. And during the separate meetings at Malacanang Palace, President Marcos Jr. expressed disappointment over developments surrounding Ko's release from Czech custody. That's according to a Presidential Communications Office or PCO statement. And President Marcos noted that despite the Philippines' efforts, the former lawmaker has yet to return home to face justice. And the chief executive asked for additional information on the circumstances that led to Ko's release. And the Malacanang clarified that despite the issue, President Marcos Jr. reaffirmed the Philippines' strong bilateral ties with France and Czech Republic, anchored on shared values such as respect for the rule of law. And Marcos expressed hope for enhanced police as well as legal and judicial cooperation to secure Ko's return to the Philippines. And Malacanang confirmed early on Tuesday that Ko is no longer under the custody of the Czech Republic and is now in France, where he is seeking political asylum. And the Foreign Affairs Department received highly reliable information that Ko filed a petition for political asylum in France due to alleged political persecution, which the palace has denied. So we will to watch out for these developments as it unfolds, because the former lawmaker is still at large and now is seeking some sort of a political asylum there in France. So basically, the former lawmaker will not return home and will not face the music and attend hearings regarding the flood control scandal that involves the former lawmaker. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our technical team headed by Mr. Milo Junella, also on our Warcast and audio live stream, we have Mr. Hiro Lucero. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.